So let's have a quick look at the history of the Mahout framework, guys. So basically, Mahout is not a direct project, or it's not developed directly, the entire framework. Rather, Mahout began its life in around 2008 as a sub-project of another project called as Apache Lucene. Okay, there is a framework, or there is a project called as Lucene as part of Apache's high-level projects. Under Lucene, Mahout was part of Lucene previously, and it actually spun out of Lucene and become an Apache top-level projects at some point in time later. So which provides the well-known open source search engine of the same name. Okay, so what is Lucene, guys? Lucene is basically a text mining framework. So Lucene majorly is used for indexing the documents, searching, okay, and providing search engine kind of framework for almost all the different data sets and the different data sources as well. Okay, so that's the purpose of Lucene, however, and there were some functionalities which were actually part of Lucene in the early days of Lucene Mahout project. Then they have segregated all those features of Lucene project, and they have actually spun out entirely a new project which is called as Mahout, and they have started implementing all the algorithms over the Hadoop stack as well as the standalone as well. So it has become its own project. And let's see, Lucene provides advanced implementations for search, text mining, and information retrieval techniques. Then in the University of Computer Science, these concepts are adjacent to machine learning techniques like clustering to an extent and classification. Okay, so however, few concepts are they're actually part of machine learning. We'll get to know what are such concepts and how you should actually look at machine learning, from what all angles you should look at the machine learning folks. So however, techniques like clustering and classification, which are already part of the machine learning, and as a result, some of the work of the Lucene committers that fell more into these machine learning areas was spun off into its own sub-project. So initially, for certain requirements like clustering and classification, they have did implementations as part of the Lucene itself. But however, as I said, since these are more inclined towards the machine learning rather than only text mining, so they have started, creating a new sub-project for machine learning. And soon after, Mahout has observed the collaborative filtering framework. So soon after, there were implementations for the collaborative filtering. Yes, Mahout has spun into a different project in 2008. Okay, so let's have a quick look how this been organized. So basically, Lucene is a high-level project, and Hadoop is also a high-level project of Apache. I mean, top-level projects of Apache. So Mahout is just like the baby of Lucene as well as Hadoop. So once it has been spun out of it, so it has become its own project like Mahout, folks. So Apache, Mahout, and its related projects with the Apache Software Foundation. So these are the related projects specific to Mahout, guys, Lucene and Hadoop. And since it has been, born as part of Lucene, all the text processing capabilities, all the text mining capabilities which Lucene has, by default, all those functionalities are inherited as part of Mahout. And mostly, whatever the algorithms or whatever the problem statements we deal with, they are towards text mining kind of problem statements, but not necessarily always. We can still use Mahout for other different things as well. But yeah, mostly we'll be looking at examples specific to the text mining, guys. Yes, and what's the other beauty of Mahout compared to the other traditional machine learning tools? So the major beauty of Mahout is, so if you look at the traditional tools, traditional machine learning tools, say R or say Octave or Weka or any other tool for that matter for doing the machine learning, for running the machine learning problems. So the major advantage using Mahout is highly scalable in nature. It basically borrows all the scalability features from the Hadoop. So in the phase how the Hadoop actually scale, in the same phase all the Mahout algorithms also can scale infinitely across all the nodes within the Hadoop cluster, guys. So through which you can actually process massive data sets over the Hadoop cluster using Mahout framework. But processing such massive data sets using the traditional tools could be a nightmare using the other traditional tools, guys. So that's where the actual beauty of Mahout comes into picture. But however, Mahout is not only designed for Hadoop. You can also run algorithms, pretty much all the algorithms in the local mode as well. I mean, in the standalone machine as well. So you don't need to really have Hadoop tightly integrated with Mahout. Also, one more thing I would like to add here is Mahout, even though Mahout has most of the algorithms implemented in a parallel fashion, but still there are few algorithms which only can operate on standalone mode. So such algorithms are really complex in nature, and scaling such algorithms is really, it's highly difficult. So few algorithms still remain in the standalone mode, guys. We'll be discussing, okay, so which algorithms have the scalable implementation and which doesn't have such scalable implementation and all that stuff in as and when we make progress in the different modules. So guys, what is Mahout then? So now that we understood what is machine learning, now it's worth to understand what is Mahout. So Mahout is mostly about, three different techniques, three different types of algorithms. If you look at Mahout itself, Mahout actually supplies algorithms at three different requirements. So the left side pane actually gives you that information. So basically Mahout is all about collaborative filtering. Collaborative filtering is basically stands for recommendations engine framework. It supplies all the APIs necessary for doing the recommendations engine framework and recommendations, and then it has the clustering specific algorithms. Also it has the classification specific algorithms as well, guys. So not necessary that it is stick to only these things. Yeah, somebody has already asked, is there any other algorithms which we are going to learn? Yes, you can also do predictions as well, and you can also apply different algorithms for different requirements as well. Not necessary that you should use these algorithms in these three things only. So for predictions, there is hidden Markov model being implemented in Mahout. So you guys can explore those options as well. So however, I'll give introductions to such algorithms as well, which are really key to learn to apply at different places. Yeah, using those you can come up with you can solve other different requirements as well, folks. Not necessary that it has only recommendations, clustering, and classification. So let's see. Apache Mahout is a framework to produce open source implementations of distributed or otherwise scalable machine learning algorithms. So it has the implementations for the scalable machine learning algorithms, and also it's an open source framework, and you can use it absolutely free of cost. Like R. R is again an open source tool, right? Similar to that R, this Mahout framework is also absolutely open source and focused primarily, though its primary focus is towards the collaborative filtering, which is recommendations alternatively, and clustering and classification, still it has other functionalities as well. Often leveraging but not limited to the Hadoop platform. So also, as I already mentioned, it's not really stuck to it's not really tightly coupled with Hadoop. It also has implementations which can run in a standalone mode as well. Both the modes it can run, the algorithms. And the Apache Mahout project mainly aims making or building intelligent applications easier and faster. And Mahout co-founder is Grant Ingersoll. So as Hadoop's founder was actually, who is the Hadoop founder, folks, by the way? It's duck cutting, right? Okay, good. So Surendra says it's duck cutting. Excellent. So like that, we do have Grant Ingersoll as one of the co-founders of Mahout. introduces the basic concepts of machine learning and then demonstrates, okay, so all that other stuff. So yeah, let's move on, guys. So what is Mahout? So let's try to have some more understanding on that. So machine learning is the class of algorithms which is data driven, that is unlike normal algorithms. It depends upon the data and tells what the good answer is. And so it's some more extended examples over here, like face recognition and scale. Face recognition is one of such examples, and so it's just like a general definition again over here, like a machine learning algorithm would not have such coded definition, but it will learn by examples. So it gets trained by examples, by the way. Okay. So guys, let's have a quick look at what all the domains have been impacted by machine learning techniques. So not really limited to the domains which I have listed over here. There are plenty other domains which actually actively are using machine learning algorithms, machine learning techniques, folks. So guys, aviation is one of such department. So especially if you guys would look, so black box is one of the key sources of analyzing the mission flights information. And even the recent example itself is the Malaysian Airlines, which many countries are really putting their efforts to actually find out the black box of that flight to actually understand what exactly have happened, why the flight has disappeared without no proper reason. And there are different theories people have come up with, but still to finalize on at least one of the theories, they have to actually retrieve that black box as quickly as possible to actually understand what has happened exactly. And yeah, so similar to that, again, not only to understand the flight's behavior, there are different other things also to optimize the operations of the flights, to reduce the delays for the flights. For most other things also, they can use machine learning widely there in the aviation. So retail and e-commerce are e-commerce is the one which actually benefits most from analytics. So if you look at Amazon or say any other eBay or any other Indian e-commerce companies as well, like say Flipkart, Myntra, or say any other company, you just name it, you will get it. So most of these, at least all of these e-commerce platforms, they extensively use analytics, guys. So the core base is on analytics. We'll be looking at one use case over here specific to clickstream, and we'll try to understand how the clickstream data will be used by e-commerce to bring up most valuable insights. Then social networking. Social networking is another domain, another field where machine learning is extensively used specifically to recommendations. If you look at any social networking website, say LinkedIn, say Facebook, or just say Twitter, so they do recommend a lot of stuff to the users, to their users, and in different ways, by the way. So and all those recommendations are making sure that they are connecting right people together, so that those guys will be really interested about their apps or whatever stuff. And not only that, they'll use analytics for different stuff as well, not only just to recommend people to people or recommend people to groups or whatever stuff. They do use analytics to generate some business insights so that they can bring out revenues out of it. And yeah, security. So security domain is other domain where you can see the big data stacks running, and you can see different applications over the security. If say for instance it is as small as finding out this, classifying the spam or ham mails, or just to identify the bad IPs or bad domains. So many things are actually possible, even for identifying the malwares. Lot of stuff they actually use security. In security they actually depend upon analytics. And finally, healthcare, last but not the least, but yes, healthcare domain, still there are different use cases where they're actually applying analytics. Just say for example, image analysis is one of the key requirements of healthcare. So recently there is a new term which you guys can find out in healthcare domain. They actually call it as prognosis. So you guys might have already heard about diagnosis, which is like, the patient goes and get diagnosed with a hospital. But here they have introduced another term, say prognosis, which is nothing but, predicting the patient's health upfront. So rather than reactively identifying the health condition of a patient, they are actually trying to proactively identify the health condition of the patient so that they can take or they can give better healthcare solutions. They can deliver better health solutions to the patients, guys. Okay, so let's move on here. Okay, so I can see some question from Surinder. Surinder says, can you please give an example in retail and security? Okay, so Surinder, I have mentioned, right, like in retail, so there are different use cases in retail as well. For example, in retail domain, they use analytics to actually identify to do the market basket analysis. For example, say they actually try to identify the frequently sold out goods as by analyzing the transactional data. Okay, or else a retailer might want to understand a 360-degree view of a customer, of their customers, whether the customers are really satisfied with the service what they have offered or not. Okay, in retail, the other way of utilizing analytics is to look at the Wi-Fi logs. So if you go to any shopping mall, any big shopping mall, there will be, free of cost they are offering this Wi-Fi service, right, in the malls. So why they are offering it at free of cost? It's because they wanted to understand your behavior over the mall. Okay, they wanted to understand your buying patterns. They wanted to understand how you are moving within the mall and what are the hot spots within the mall. So all these different types of use cases are possible in the retail industry. And coming back to security, as I already mentioned, it could be as simple as identifying spam or harm, or it could be identifying bad IPs or bad domains or whatever stuff for that matter, Surinder. So does it answer your question? So Surinder says, in coffee shop, if I go and I use Wi-Fi, what intelligence can I obtain? You may not obtain much intelligence there, Surinder, and probably the mall owner probably can obtain certain intelligence out of it rather than you. There, I mean, the mall, they actually, for example, if you go into mall, I can't say, wow, if you connect to the coffee shop, really they are doing analytics. Like a simple coffee shop may or may not be doing that. It's an overburden for them. If you go into mall, yes, they'll be doing definitely analytics. Okay, so the way you actually move within the mall, they actually identify how you are moving within the mall. They'll actually pinpoint where you are currently located. I mean, where you are currently standing within the mall or spending time within the mall. So they do a lot of, they use that information for a lot of things. Even they analyze, what kind of handset you are using, so that they can actually provide that information for other vendors there. Surendra says, okay, so where I stop and look for goods might be showing my interest in products. Yeah, you can just imagine like that, but there are so many other stuff as well. They can actually recommend on the fly. They can send promotions to your mobile. It's not that they are just doing at that point and point in time analytics. They also actually look at your historical information as well. If you are returning customer for them, what was your buying patterns previously, and based on that they might come up with new recommendations for you. Kamal says, MapReduce enabled, does that mean these specific algorithms cannot be run in an Hadoop environment? Huh? Cannot be run. Can only run on the local machine. So Kamal, I hope that you are not from big data background. I mean, you are not from Hadoop background. So Kamal, when I say that it is MapReduce enabled, which means that it will run on Hadoop. Okay, so MapReduce is already part of Hadoop. MapReduce is just a programming paradigm. It's a way of writing a program within the Hadoop. We'll talk about Hadoop tomorrow, so you'll get bit more understanding on Hadoop as well. So Kamal, does it make sense? So in short, Mahout can run both on Hadoop as well as in local machine. In short, Kamal. So does it make sense, Kamal? Now? Okay. So guys, let's quickly understand some core concepts of Mahout here. So Apache Mahout uses Hadoop MapReduce internally, and then has many supplied algorithms. It has already implementations for many algorithms, and also supports for use cases as well. Okay, it supports for various use cases, guys. And here are the use cases listed under the use cases here, which is recommendations, clustering, classification, and say frequent item mining, say for understanding the market basket. So you can use this frequent item set mining. Okay, what are the different applications of Mahout? So here are the different applications of Mahout, folks. So it's frequent pattern mining and say classification, clustering, recommenders, Lucene, vectorizer. So there are utilities like Lucene vectorizer, and then math vectors and matrices, SVD, I mean singular value decomposition, collections. I mean there are built-in data structures available in Mahout in recommendations framework especially. Also there are built-in vectors as well available as part of utilities, and then it also depends upon the Apache Hadoop, guys. Okay. So Vijay says apps, meaning these are all standalone, ready to run apps. Okay, so not necessary that these are all standalone. Application could be anything, right? It can be a scalable application or it can be a standalone application. Not necessary that these are actually part of Mahout. So that's what this slide actually means, Vijay. Okay, this is not really relevant to application. I mean Mahout, considering Mahout application here. So these are all part of the Mahout application. That's what it means. Okay, so Rajiv says, what is genetic doing here? Good question. Though there is no genetic algorithms available in Mahout, they have actually made some effort to actually add genetic algorithms. But however, I don't think it is successful. I'll just look at the latest API, which is 0.9, and probably I'll come back to you whether there are any recently integrated genetic algorithms. So this is just it looks like it's a typo over here. I'll check later. So though as I mentioned, they tried but it didn't work out. Okay, so let's see. So guys, also machine learning is all over the web today. Since if you look at the web, there are billions of pages available over the web, or even maybe trillions of pages available over the web. So to analyze such trillions of pages, web pages, you really need some scalable platform, guys, rather than a standalone platform. You have to leverage on some scalable environment where you can analyze such massive data sets in parallel. Okay, and yes, MapReduce magic in action here, since Mahout is built on top of MapReduce. So it's all the features specific to MapReduce is already by default been inherited by Mahout, as well as Lucene's feature as well. And then Mahout is about scalable machine learning. Mahout has functionality for many of the today's common machine learning techniques. So already it has most of the algorithms which are part of the Mahout, guys, but not all of them. You cannot really compare Mahout with the packages like R. R, it's entirely a different story. It's purely a statistical modeling tool, and you can see almost some thousands of packages are available as part of R. So that way you cannot compare with Mahout with R. But yes, whatever the algorithms Mahout has, they are pretty much sufficient, and they solve pretty much all the different problem statements, but not everything by the end of the day. And again, it's still evolving kind of framework, right? So you can see more and more functionalities being added or being evolved. You can see maybe for down the line, say maybe 2 or 3 releases, you can see most of the algorithms which will become part of the Mahout, guys.